Hi, everyone. Okay, let me get this adjusted. Oh, I think that'll work. Okay. Good morning, Cassie.
Morning, Mama. All right, now we're going to go over the teenage years. And there's a quote that I want to share because I think it's funny. The scariest part of raising a teenager is remembering the things you did when you were a teenager.
I think I jinxed you because I always said, one day you're going to have one just like you.
I know, and I do.
Yeah.
I do. So the first question is, how would you describe yourself when you were a teenager?
Insecure and broken. I truly was. I held so much value on how other people viewed me that it was literally affecting my happiness because I wanted everyone to accept me and like me. And I put way too much value on everybody else's opinion. And it stopped me from doing a lot of things that I would have naturally have done. I was very insecure. I always felt like I was the ugly duckling and the misfit. And inside, I mean, the people that knew me like, in high school, I hung out with my cousin Dina and my cousin Mia. And they knew me, so I could be as silly or as goofy as I wanted to be. So I really enjoyed being with them because I got to be who I really was. Because you know me, Cass. I like to crack jokes and laugh until I cry and until it hurts to breathe because you're laughing so hard. I enjoy humor, and that wasn't something I had in my teen years. It was a very confusing time for me. I came from a very dysfunctional family, and it affected my teen years in a very negative way. I tried to get everybody and anybody to like me, no matter what I had to do to make them like me. And it wasn't who I was. So I did a lot of stupid stuff in my teen years just to fit in. And that's not something I'll ever repeat as an adult. I'll never try to be what others want me to be. I find myself doing it, and then I correct myself because it stole a lot of my happiness. But what did I enjoy? Oh my gosh. Me as a teenager, if I wasn't on my horse, disappearing.
I think there's going to be, I think we got specific questions for those. Okay.
So that was me. I was just a very insecure teenager. I was very confused and had a hard time with growing up in the environment I was in. By the time I was a teenager, both of my older sisters had moved out. My brother was on his way out. In fact, I think he moved out when he was 15 or 16. And then it was just me at home with the dysfunctional family. And a lot fell on my shoulders to protect my mom.
Yeah.
It was a hard time. It was really, truly a hard time.
Yeah.
I always swore I'd never marry anybody that was an alcoholic. So that was a big thing for me was I never wanted to be in the situation that I was in with my children. I never wanted them to have to live the insecure life that I had, never knowing when the other shoe was going to fall. So that was me as a teen, but it wasn't all negative. I had a lot of good times, and hopefully we'll go over those too.
Yeah, we will. We got 6 pages. How did you dress and style your hair during your teens?
Like this. And a lot of Aquanet. We had the big hair. And because my hair is so fine, and it's not that I have thin hair, it's that my hair is super fine, so it doesn't look like I have a lot of hair. But I do have a lot of hair. It's just really tiny strands. So for me to get the big hair, I had to do the grandma perms and wrap the crap out of my hair and put lots of Aquanet on it. So when I was 13, I was still, in fact, my hair looks a lot like I have it right now. But by the time I hit high school, 14, when I was in high school, it was big hair. It was rock hair bands and stuff. It was huge. Big
What
old
kind of
froze.
clothes did you wear?
We had, well, my mom called them pedal pushers, but they were the short pants just below the knee and totally color coordinated. Your pants and your shirt matched. You had a really big wide belt that matched, and you had earrings that matched, and necklaces that matched, and shoes that matched. Everything back in that time was everything had to be cohesive. It had to all match. It was a big thing to have matching clothes. So it was in high school the first time I got to actually go clothes shopping for school. So Mom and I had a blast. We went down to Fashion Fair Mall and hit the sales, and we had a lot of fun. So that was a real highlight through my teen years. I guess seeing that my siblings had all moved out already, I guess Mom had a little more money to spend on me. So she helped me to fit in a little better in high school. When I was 14, I don't know if this is going to come up later. I probably should have read the questions before we started, but I did run for Miss Teen USA when I was 14. Is that somewhere else in the book? So that was a highlight. And my mama tried so hard to make my life good because she knew what we were going through. She knew what us kids had to struggle with. And everyone always said I was going to go to Hollywood and be a movie star. And honestly, that's what I wanted. I truly wanted to be an actress.
Yeah.
I was a misfit in grade school, so it was kind of funny because even though I wasn't the most popular in grade school, I always got the leading roles in any of the school plays. And it's because I was such a good actress at a very young age. And I always got the leading role. So I was, acting for me was a place I really wanted to be. And I thought I could really succeed at, but I never had the self-confidence to follow that.
Yeah. Did you hang out with a group or just a few close friends? And are you still close with any of the people you hung out with in high school?
Probably my Mia is my closest. We've always kept in contact, my cousin Mia. No, I still have a couple of people that I talk to, but we're not like best friends. I live in another state now, so I kind of left the mountain at a younger age. I was 18 when I moved away from the mountain, so I didn't really keep in a lot of contact with a lot of people. I didn't have the forever friends like a lot of people get to have.
Was it like a group or was it just a few friends?
When Dina and Maria were there, we were always together. And I had a Marta Ulick, my aunt's husband's mama, Oma. She sold my dad a Pinto car for $400, and that was my car. So I worked on weekends. From the time I was 13, I worked on weekends up at Heartland Christian Camp. And so Dina and I and Maria we were always in my car going somewhere doing something. So I did have a lot of freedom once I turned 16. Actually, I think I was 15 and a half when I got my license. So there was a group. There was times I kind of went in and out of groups just because I would start to feel like I didn't fit, so I would move groups. Sometimes I'd hang out with the Cowboys. Sometimes I'd hang out with the Stoners. Sometimes I'd hang out with the Preps. And sometimes I was solo with just me in my own mind.
All right. And does Describe a typical Friday or Saturday night during your high school years.
Okay. So I would get off the school bus, jump in my car. I already had my bags packed. And I would drive up to Isham Valley and go to Heartland Christian Camp. And I was a kitchen prep and server in the dining hall. And we stayed in rooms above the dining hall. They had a staff area, and it was commingled boys and girls, which probably wasn't a good thing for Sandy. In fact, I have a picture of Jack Jones climbing through my bedroom window somewhere. Jack Jones, I kept in contact with Jack Jones, actually. He was a good friend. He passed away a few years ago from alcoholism, from liver failure. And one of my other friends that worked up there with me, Melissa Wilburn, Melissa Wilburn passed away also a few years ago, right before Jack, actually. And she worked with us up at Heartland Christian Camp, and she also died of alcoholism, liver failure. So that was my weekends. Most weekends I did go up and work at Heartland Christian Camp, so I had gas money to go do the fun stuff. I actually started there when I was 13. My mom had gone up there. They did SciCon up at Heartland Christian Camp, and my mom had been sent up to cook for them, for the kids, and I went with her that week, and I helped her in the kitchen and everything, met the boss and everybody, and they paid me through my mom's paycheck in a second paycheck under my mom's Social Security number. So I was working under my mom, my first job at 13. Once I turned 14, which was like 6 months later, then I was on paper as paying my own taxes finally. Made me feel like I was big stuff. Got my own
paycheck. Did you have a curfew?
I did, well, working up there, I never did because I had nobody to answer to. So there's a lot of freedom up there. No, because living in the mountains like we were, I didn't really go places or do anything. Later, I guess, well, if I went on a date, yes. When I dated Roger, we always had to have double dates. My brother and Patty and Roger and I, and we would go out. And I think it was midnight, honestly. I think he had to have me home by midnight. And the problem was, is we lived so far up in the mountains, a lot of times mom and dad would just tell the driver to just sleep on the couch. So there was that. My dates always stayed over, I guess you'd say. I guess my parents didn't want to be reliable for someone driving off Highway 180 and a 1,000-foot drop.
Yeah.
In the winter times, the ice and the snow and so on. So no, I dated Roger for a few years in high school, and my parents were pretty lenient. After we broke up, but I dated Brian Cash, Paul Harp, and then that
was the next question: is did you date during high school?
I did date during high school. Any way I could feel accepted and got attention, absolutely. I put a lot of importance on somebody loving me. So it was important to me. And when I was 17, I actually met my first husband. And I was 17. I had just graduated high school like the week before when I met him. So I graduated Ridley High School at 17. And I walked. I was the first graduating in my immediate family. But Cindy and my mom went and got their GEDs like 4 months before I graduated, just to kind of rub it in a little. So they went and got their GEDs, but I didn't. I was the first one that walked down the aisle. My brother had moved out and was working wherever. He ended up in the woods with me, though. He ended up going up and staying at the campgrounds, logging with my dad later.
Yeah.
So.
Did you go to any school dances, and what were they like?
Do I have to tell the truth in this? This is an honesty thing, huh?
Yeah.
I did go to proms. but I went to just a regular, hold on, my computer's wanting to shut down and restart. No. So I went to one regular dance, and my mom actually let me go with Shelly Guy and Mark Guy down the hill to Reedley High School. And we were in Shelly's Camaro, and it was my senior year. And I got stoned. And I wasn't a stoner. Even though people thought I was a drug addict, I was not a drug person at all. I was petrified. But I was so skinny that everyone thought I was doing coke. And I was always so bouncy, but that's my ADD. Everybody thought I was doing drugs. In fact, Sherry, my sister, convinced my mom. And I don't know how many times I came home and my bedroom was torn apart because they just knew they were going to find something. But no, I had never done any kind of drugs. I smoked marijuana maybe a handful of times. It just wasn't something I enjoyed doing. It made me paranoid, and I just didn't like it. So I went to my first dance stoned. And I remembered we didn't have anything to smoke it out of. So we had found an old aluminum can out on Riverbend Drive. And Mark Guy poked holes in it, and we used that to smoke it. I don't know. It's really weird. But anyways, I did it because I was going along with the crowd.
I did that in high school a lot.
Did you? See, I didn't. I was just, I was so afraid of chemicals. So afraid of anything that could mess me up because I didn't want the addiction thing. So, so yes, I did go to a school dance. I was pretty stoned and just kind of sat there watching all the lights, the pretty lights doing pretty stuff around the DJ's area. So.
Who taught you how to drive and in what kind of car?
My dad is the one that taught me how to drive. We had a hog ranch growing up, and back behind our house a couple of miles was, it was called Narramani Conservation Camp. And it was kind of like a halfway point when people were getting out of jail. It was a transition prison. So they were like usually on their last year or two of their sentence, and they would go up there to work out in public. They would go out and clear fire lines. They would go on fire calls. So they would work in the mountains. I think it was a fabulous program. But anyways, we would go down there and take their kitchen scraps. And that's where I learned to drive, was going back and forth on this little road that you never saw anybody. I don't think I ever saw a cop growing up on Orchard Drive ever. I never saw a peace officer in Narramani. We just didn't have the need to have an officer in the mountains. There wasn't the crime. So, I mean, my mom used to let me walk to downtown Narramani, which it consisted of a tiny little store, Kasia and David Barr's store, and my girlfriend Candy's parents. That's where she lived. And the post office. That was all we had. And it was 5 miles from the house. And Mom would let me walk or ride my horse or ride my bike. She never told me where to go and when to be back or nothing. Just, okay. And off I'd go, all by myself.
What kind of car was it that you learned?
I learned to drive in it was orangish yellow. I want to say it was a GMC. Dad had 2 of them that were identical. And I remember I started off, when I was real little, I'd start off by sitting on his lap and steering. And then pretty soon I'd have to stand up, and I'd use the gas pedal because I couldn't sit on his lap and reach the gas pedal. So I'd stand up, hold the wheel, and he'd put the seat back so I could stand there and do the gas pedal. So that's how I learned to drive. Now, when it came time to do the stick shift, we had a Dodge Omni, O-M-N-I, Omni. It was a 2-tone blue Dodge spec car. It was a little tiny little thing, kind of like a little Chevette. And it was a stick shift, and I had to learn to drive it. And my mom is the one that did that for me. She helped me to learn to drive the stick shift. I did accidentally put it in reverse instead of first and crashed back into the van. We had a big van. And that was the other car I learned to drive in. And oh my gosh, it was so hard because it was 3 on the tree. And it was a big old long cargo van. And it was brown, like poopy baby poop brown kind of, and I had to drive that up to Heartland Christian Camp because my mom got tired of having to take me up there and drop me off and go up and pick me up and everything. So finally, I was driving the van up there, big old huge van with 3 on the tree, shifting gears around hairpin turns, and it was, of course, quite an incline. So that's how I learned to drive. Is I had to learn, or I was going to go backwards. And the other vehicle that I learned to drive, and it was 3 on the tree also, and I didn't drive it for very long because it broke down. But I know both of my sisters and my brother learned how to drive in it, and it was my grandfather's old 59. It was a blue 59 Chevy, and I think it had cat eyes. It had the cat eyes and the fins that went out on the back. But I remember it was rusted through below the brake pedal. So my mom had tossed in a cookie sheet so our feet didn't go through the bottom. But yeah, that's what we drove to the school bus, because once I got to high school, I had to get on the school bus at Miramonte Post Office, and that was 5 miles. So illegally, I would drive, I was 14 years old and 15 years old and trying to learn how to drive this car. It's crazy. So,
how old were you when you got your first car, and what kind of car was it?
Well, my very old, it was an old police car because there was no door handles in the back. The dash was stripped down, and there was just light holes that didn't work, nothing. So if anyone went with me, I had to let them out of the back seat, and it had been repainted kind of a rust color. It was actually a pretty good looking car, but it had a 440 motor in it. And it was a Morocco. Buick Morocco, maybe? I don't remember. But I had it for a couple of months, and Dad took it away and sold it because he was getting too many complaints about Sandy speeding and tearing up the mountain roads and doing things I shouldn't do in a 440. Why do they give you so much horsepower if you can't use it?
Right.
What the heck?
But what, didn't you have a Pinto?
I did. So after Dad got rid of the Morocco or whatever it was, Monaco, I don't know how you say it. Then that's when I got Oma's little Pinto, the little brown Pinto. And that was my baby, AM radio.
Do you know what year that was? Like what year the Pinto was?
I was 16. I was 16 when I got the Pinto, 16.
Do you know what year the car was?
The car was a 1972 Ford Pinto.
All right. Did you go to any school, or did you participate in any school activities or sports?
No. Let me explain this. I wanted to do drama so bad, but I had an addiction to cigarettes. And it was more important for me to go across the street and smoke than for me to go 2 hours in acting class. That's how strong my addiction to cigarettes was. I had started smoking. My first cigarette was right outside of the post office my freshman year. And my brother is the one that gave it to me. No, I wasn't freshman. I was 8th grade. And I can't remember, somewhere in there, but my brother gave it to me and told me I wasn't big enough to smoke. So I had to prove to my brother and be accepted, so I smoked a cigarette. And then anytime we were together, he'd always give me his cigarette to have a hit or two. And that's where it all started. And I was a addict for cigarettes from then on. Bad. I mean, 37 years I smoked. Now I'm free of it, finally, but I smoked a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So no, I didn't get to be active because I didn't want to give up my smoking, and I was afraid people would look down at me because I was a smoker.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I did.
Like for me, I remember feeling that way for me. I wouldn't do stuff because I wouldn't be able to smoke.
I wouldn't be able to smoke, and I didn't want to stink. I didn't want them to
Yep.
know I smoked. So it kept me from following my dream of being an actress. The cigarettes did.
Well, January 8th, it'll be 2 years for me.
That's so good. I'm so proud of you. And you know, it's so funny because now they're saying that nicotine isn't bad for you. It's all the other crap they put in the cigarettes. And probably the smoke isn't the greatest, but nicotine in itself is actually healthy for you. Yeah. So, well, congratulations. I am over 6 years cigarette free.
That's amazing.
It was November 4th, 2019.
You made it through COVID without smoking. That's pretty good.
Right. Unfortunately, I got COVID because I wasn't smoking because nicotine kills COVID.
Right.
So you might get COVID, but you're not going to have it for very long because of the cigarettes.
Yeah. What did you like and dislike about high school?
I disliked the clickiness and how others bullied you and made you feel less than. I had a girl. Looking back now, I realize I was pretty back in my high school days, but at the time I didn't feel pretty. And I guess it made boys' heads turn and made girls hate me. And I got called out many times. And I remember one, her name was, she was a short little shit. I know Michelle Ugassi wanted to beat me up over Charles Lawson, I think, or whatever. And I remember meeting this short little, she was a little tiny thing, but man, she was built like a tank, and I was scared, petrified of her. And she called me out at the city park, and Cheryl Rice was the only one that went with me to protect me. So it was just Cheryl Rice and I, and then it was her and about 20 girls. And then I turned around, and there was like 40 of the people that knew me out of the Stoners, the Cowboys. They were all behind me in the alley, and I didn't know they were there until I turned around after the girl walked away. So that was pretty scary. I did get beat up one time at a rodeo, at the fair in Squaw Valley. There was a Squaw Valley fair, and a girl jumped me and beat the crap out of me. I was beat up, and it was because Dean had said something about me. Dean Carlton had said something about me, and it pissed the girl off, and she attacked me. Her name was Shauna Larson, and Mimi, her best friend. So anyways, I got beat up. I was not a fighter. I hated fighting. I didn't like any kind of confrontation. Just wasn't my personality.
I get that. Sorry, that was like made me sad and angry at the same time.
What did?
Just picturing, somebody hurting you.
Oh. But yeah,
what did you liked about high school?
What did I like about high school?
Yeah.
Don't cry.
I'm not.
Well, your eyes are watering, and now you look like Alice Cooper. So, let me think. What was that last question? I already forgot.
What do you like, or what did you like about high school?
I liked the freedom. I liked to be able to escape my house because there was a lot of bad memories at my house, a lot of bad feelings, and I could escape. I lived over an hour, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour from high school. So now my senior year, because I had screwed around, and I'm not stupid. I know I could have done it. I just never did homework. I had more important things to do. Ride my horse, think about boys, and write letters. So I definitely the freedom.
Yeah.
Definitely the freedom, because I got away. I got away from the drama at home.
Yeah. What were your grades like?
Oh yeah, that's where I was going with this. And it's funny because my parents never said anything about my grades. They never encouraged me. They never told me to do my homework. They never it was all on me. I never had anyone to guide me with my academics because they really didn't care, I guess. I don't know. Other things were more important. I would get scolded if they, they saw it, but I never got grounded. I never had anyone putting emphasis on my grades. I never had anyone to say, hey, Sandy, you need to go to the room and, well, your grades were bad, so you can't do this, 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 and this. I never had that. I never had anyone to monitor my academics at all. It was all on me, and of course, the teenagers way out there somewhere not thinking about academics. So I graduated, but only by the skin of my teeth. My senior year, I ended up having to do after-school ROP, a recreational program for gaining extra credits. So I would go to school. I would get up at 5 a.m. I would leave for school at 6:30 and either catch the bus or drive down and go to my friend's house or Maria's or Dina's or somebody's house. And at 2-ish in the afternoon, I got on a bus and went to Kingsburg High School. And I did computer classes. And I did a few other classes too. But I had to do all this after school ROP. And then I had to do night class, an adult night class. And so I wouldn't get out of school until I would get home around 10:30 at night and then start all over the next day. I worked my butt off my senior year to graduate. I mean, I was in school from 8 a.m. until 9 o'clock at night. So, yeah, it was crazy. But I got it. I graduated. I had to prove to everybody I could do it. So I did it. And then I go to college, and I was a mama of 3, and I still had a 3.3 with no childcare, and I was working. So, yeah, I managed. I know I'm not stupid. I just didn't apply myself at all. It wasn't something I was interested in, and nobody really cared, so I didn't either.
Right. Did you have a favorite subject and a least favorite subject?
Yes. I loved history. I loved the cultures and the historic cultures. And I really loved science. Mr. Loftus. Yeah, Mr. Loftus.
That's your least favorite?
No, those are my 2 favorites. My least favorite was math.
I was going to ask you if I could guess it.
Math. I absolutely. I mean, my mom took me to a tutor in 7th grade because if I didn't use it, I lost it. It wouldn't stay in my head at all. And so Mr. Todd offered to help me. And so Mom would take me up there once a week to coach me. But it really honestly didn't help. It just fell out of my brain. And to this day, I still struggle with math. It's just something in my head just doesn't want to grasp it. So no geometry, none of that. I was lucky to get through arithmetic and fractions.
What were a few of your favorite songs from your high school years?
Our alma mater was Eye of the Tiger. In high school. And on game days, it was Queen, We Will Rock You. They would play that. So,
okay, what were your favorites?
It would be in and out of rock and country. So sometimes it was Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and sometimes it was Hank Williams Jr. So I was very diverse in the music that I listened to. I mean, I could listen to Amy Grant, a Christian singer. On the weekends, that's what I would listen to up at work. And I had a Walkman, and I listened to an Amy Grant tape that I had. I put my little earbuds in. I would do that when I horseback ride too. I had a little Walkman with a cassette tape in it, or it had an AM/FM radio, but it had earbuds, and I would ride my horse and listen to music going down the trail.
Did you ever listen to Pat Benatar?
Yes, of course. We Will Rock You. or I Love Rock and Roll. Sorry, backwards. Yeah, definitely Pat Benatar. Loved her. I did get to go. I did get to go to a couple of concerts with my friend Tracy Cossey, Greenwood now. I got to go see, Merle Haggard, which is really weird because I seen him like 3 times, and he's from Muskogee, Oklahoma, which is right, right here where I live now. So it's down the road. That's the big city we go to is Muskogee. So it's kind of weird that I went to go seen him 3 times. I seen John Anderson. I seen Hank Williams Jr., Alabama, the Oak Ridge Boys, Reba McEntire. I think it was Reba. It was at the fairgrounds in Tulare. Oh, I wish I could remember. Anyways, so yeah, I got to go to a few concerts, but only because of Tracy. Now, Tracy's dad was a faller. He was, my dad knew him through work. So they were pretty liberal with me going to Tracy's house.
Yeah.
So when I was in my country phases, she was definitely my ride or die.
Knowing all that you know now, what advice would you give to your teenage self? And what might have you done differently in school if you knew then what you know now?
I would have never started smoking cigarettes because that really diverted my goal of to become an actress. I really wanted to be an actress. I really wanted to go to Hollywood. I really wanted to be famous. So I would have not smoked. I would have gone to acting classes, drama. I would have gone to college for that.
How come you didn't go to college for that when you graduated high school?
I was still a smoker. I didn't want to be judged.
That's fair.
So that's that.
Right. Well, tell me about a teacher, coach, or other mentor who had significant impact on you when you were in your teenage years or when you were growing up.
Her name was Mrs. Boone. She was about as tall as she was wide. She was very strict, and she was my typing teacher for a couple of years, and not my home economics.
Boone, Boone.
Yes, Mrs. Boone. And I ended up having her, I want to say, I guess it was some sort of home economics because she was teaching us how to write checks and how to balance checkbooks and how to pay bills and how to basically grow up and be responsible, I guess you'd say. And she was most people couldn't stand her, but I loved her because she was hard on me, but yet she would, after class, would call me aside and ask if things were okay. She was really concerned about my weight. She was really concerned why I was so skinny. And she's the only teacher that I talked to about my home life, was Mrs. Boone. I mean, there was times when I would go down in front of the courthouse there in Reedley and get on the phone, and I would call Alateen because I had been up all night trying to referee my dad picking on my mom. My poor mom my dad would pass out around 2 a.m. because he didn't work in the winter times because he was a logger. So the winter times were the hardest times on Mom. And I honestly think that's why she passed away on a Saturday in the winter. Is just her body was so used to that winter stress, the extra violence that went along with it. So I would go down to the courthouse and get on the telephone and feed it dimes later closed, but Gines and talk to counselors. They always tried to hook me up with support groups and stuff, but that just wasn't going to happen. So the only thing I did have is the people that I would call the Al-Anon hotline and talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyways, Mrs. Boone's the only one that I really talked to.
Yeah.
So I would say Mrs. Boone was my teacher.
I love that. I had a few of those in my life. And it's so funny because it's always the strict, hard-ass teachers that you end up loving the most.
And she was. I wouldn't stop looking at my hands when I was typing. I'd glance. So she went.
Yeah.
So she got a box and she cut out little things for me and she put it over my typewriter, so I couldn't look at my hands anymore.
I love that.
Oh.
I do know. So that's the end of your teenage years, but I know there was a few stories you wanted to talk about.
Okay.
From your
One
childhood.
of the things from my high school I wanted to go over was running for Miss Teen USA and some of the stories that were hilarious about this chick in LA. Okay. So the Hyatt Hotel in Los Angeles was where they held the competition for Miss Teen USA. I was running for Miss Teen California. And we pulled up in that, remember that van I told you it had 3 on the tree?
Yeah.
The cargo, ugly, nasty looking thing. Well, we pulled up in front of the Hyatt Regency, which is a very fancy hotel in Los Angeles. And the bellhop comes out and opens my door for me. And back in the day, oil cans used to be round. And then you used a bottle opener to open them and pour them in. They didn't come in jugs. Everything was cardboard with a metal ring around the top. That was what the old oil cans used to look like. And it was Pennzoil. And it rolled out and started running down the hill, rolling down the hill. And oh my God, I was going to die. So the bellhop went running, chasing it. And I'm chasing the bellhop, trying to catch our quart of oil, but rolled out. So anyways, there was that. That was funny. So it was Mom and I in LA. We stayed at the Hyatt. I was 14 years old. The competition was insane. It was an experience that I can't even express what it meant to me for my mom to be willing to let me do that and to experience it. And my dad was supposed to come and walk me on stage, but he said he couldn't do it. So one of the other teammates' brother was going to walk me. But at the last moment, my dad showed up. So he didn't walk me, but he did show up to be there for the final. Drove all the way to LA just to watch me.
Wow.
And that was the dad that I loved so much, because my dad was an awesome human being when he was sober. My favorite times with my dad was Sunday mornings mushroom picking, or the times when we would drive down to the con camp and get the slop for the pigs.
Yeah.
Planting gardens. There was things in my life that were so special to me with my dad. And it was like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And my dad, who loved me tremendously and was so affectionate, could turn into a monster just as fast. I mean, it was very confusing growing up because of that. But anyways, let's get back off of that. So my daddy showed up to watch his little girl perform in Miss Teen USA, and I still have the video somewhere. Someday I need to get it over onto a DVD.
I think I remember it. I remember watching it one time. I think you were in a yellow dress.
Yes,
no?
A yellow dress. Okay, my mom, because we were poor, and we went down to the Fulton Mall, and in a basement in front of in a bridal shop, they had dresses for $30. And even though that was still a lot of money back then, it was a lot cheaper than, 100 or 200. So Mama and I found this yellow dress, and she sewed roses on it. I remember Mama sewing roses on each layer because it was a big ball gown. I actually wore it later. I wore it to one of my proms. So that was super special, was to go spend that time with Mom and have her help me with getting my attire together for running for Miss Teen USA. So I want to go back to one of my traumas as a child, but also looking back now, it was hilarious. But before the house burned down, we had cats, of course, and my sister had this little wild bird. I want to say it was a sparrow, but I'm not sure. But the bird got out of the cage, and the cat was chasing the bird in the mobile, in the single wide mobile. And all of us kids started screaming, and it scared my dad, who was laying in the bathtub. And he jumped out with a towel wrapped around him, trying to help save the bird from the cat. His towel kept falling off, and I'd see his little buns running around trying to chase this cat, cussing and yelling and screaming. But the bird survived. It didn't die until Sandy got a hold of it later. Another trauma. I accidentally let Skackers out, and he flew out the door. So now he was out in nature. And Robert and I found him down in the field up in a tree. So Robert climbed the tree to get Skackers for me so we could get it back in the cage before Sherry got home. And Sandy got beat. And so I go, well, how are you going to get it down? He goes, I don't know, because I got to have both of my hands. I go, put it in your shirt, put it in your shirt. He goes, I can't put it in my shirt, I'll squish it. And so we're fighting back and forth. And I was little. I was probably 8. And he took his shirt off and wrapped up Skackers in his shirt. He said, catch this. And he threw it. And I missed it. And Skackers was dead.
Oh.
And you talk about trauma was killing this little bird that all of us loved so much. And the fear I felt that my sister was going to get a hold of me. So I had to tell everybody the story on how Sandy killed Skackers. Yeah, I'll never forget that. And it really caused the trauma, as it was my responsibility for this little bird's life.
Yeah.
And I missed. And I think it caused me to be really paranoid over my own children, because I couldn't even keep a bird alive. But I didn't lose any of you guys, so I'm doing pretty good.
You're doing pretty good.
So
good. Well,
okay.
Good.
Any other stories you want to hear about?
No, not yet, because I don't want to ruin it.
Okay.
The next thing we're going to be going over. That's a good one. Okay, so we're going to do a couple pages. There's only 2 pages on beginnings, which I think is just right after high school. And then work and career, and then another mom trivia.
And this is next time?
Huh?
This is next time? Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll probably end with the family tree.
Okay, the family tree. At the very end of all of this, I want to be making little lists of special moments in my life that meant a lot to me. And I would like to do an episode at the end of kind of things that stick in my brain. And I know there's so much that I've forgotten. But little things that made life worth living.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a whole big thing on parents and grandparents. A lot of pages on parents and
I want
grandparents.
to do that. I don't know a whole lot, but I will definitely tell you all the stories that I do know. I did do an interview when I was in 8th grade of my great grandmother. So I did actually interview her
That's cool.
about her childhood and life.
Yeah.
So that'll be good. That'll help.
And then we have a few blank pages on just 1, 2, 3, 4 blank pages on just memories. That's all, just memories of siblings.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, this is fun. Thank you so much, Cass.
I love it. This is great.
I appreciate
Yeah, so next time we'll do beginning of life right after high school, your work and career, and we'll finish with the family tree.
Okay, sounds good.
And then after that, it's going to be a lot for parents and grandparents and siblings.
Okay, that sounds great. I appreciate you.
I love you, Mama.
I love you too, sweetheart, so very much.
I'll talk to you soon.
Wait. Okay.
Love you.
I love you too.